Hello everyone and welcome to the Melbourne Traditionalists podcast, episode 19. I'm Mark Moncrief from the Melbourne Traditionalists and I have with me David Hiscock from XYZ. How are you, David?
Yeah, very good, Mark. How are you?
Yes, I'm not too bad.
Yeah, beauty. It was a beautiful weekend because as well as being able to keep the Sabbath holy yesterday, I was able to catch a little bit of David Warner's innings, his 335. I thought that was pretty special. I've written this morning about how I think it's great that Australian batsmen are revering Don Bradman's top score of 334.
Yes.
Yeah. So Don Bradman scored that in 1930 against the English in the Ashes. Mm-hmm. And that record that stood for quite some time. Like it was defeated by Sir Garfield Sobers. He scored 365 and then Brian Lara passed that. He got 375. And then in 2003, Matt Hayden got 180. And then a few months later, Brian Lara got the current top score of 400 not out.
Yep.
But the thing about that 334 is that that stood for years and years and years. For
decades.
Yeah, it took over 7 years for Matt Hayden to break it. And there are examples now of three batsmen getting to that score and either or close to it and stopping, basically. So in 98, Mark Taylor scored 334, was there at the close of play and declared overnight. Michael Clarke in 2003 did something similar. He got to 325, and rather than going on to beat Don Bradman's score, he declared. And so then on Saturday, Dave Warner got to 335 and Tim Payne, the captain, declared. So what we've got here is the Australian cricketers paying very explicit reverence to one of our ancestors and his achievement.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really special because like that score, like it was scored against the English, and the Ashes were one of the ways that we as Australians of British stock sort of identified ourselves as distinct from the British while also respecting our British heritage, our genetic heritage.
Yeah.
And so this is a continuation of that. If these guys batted for any other country, they just go right past it. Like no batsmen from no other country in the world declare or retire when they pass 334.
That's right. Yeah.
In Australia, it's a real thing, and I love it because it's that type of reverence of the past which gives us an identity, and you can't get a clearer example of not just our cultural identity, but our actual ethnic, racial, genetic identity than that score, and that's what they're doing with this. It's beautiful.
It is interesting that they have decided that this is the mark. Yeah. And once you've reached it, you've proven that you're a master.
Yeah.
You don't need to go any further.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and you approach with caution as well because you can get past Don Bradman's 334, but no one's ever going to match his average of nearly 100. Like that's double. Basically, only a handful of batsmen have finished their careers with averages over 50. And Don Bradman's with averaged nearly 100. So you're never going to match that. So you might be able to do it once, but you can't match it over the course of the whole career. It's incredible. Yeah. And so that's another reason why they pay him so much respect. Yeah.
No, you're quite right. And I agree with you. It's great to see that this has become a tradition.
Yeah. I think it's great. And so I like to harp on about this. I know people in the nationalist community don't always like talking about sports ball, but I think it's really important. It's for me, it's one of the things that makes Australia great. It's one of the reasons I want to do everything I can to help Australia. And there are a lot of Aussies out there who get this. They wouldn't say it as explicitly as I have, but they sort of get it on some level.
Yeah. And I think I guess we get what's the right word I want. We get annoyed that it becomes such an obsession for people.
Absolutely, yes.
To the exclusion of real life.
Yes.
And it's no different to watching soap operas all day.
Mm-hmm.
and ignoring your own family.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with watching a soap opera.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with watching the cricket
Yeah.
or playing cricket. And really, I think that's one area where we probably should be more explicit, is that sport is not bad if you're playing it. And it's not bad if you're supporting your family, your friends who are playing it. I guess it's when it becomes professional and it becomes to the exclusion of real life. That's when it's sport.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, it should be about community.
Well, yeah, we make the important point that, we have 100,000 people cheering at the grand final, and we want to see them show the same kind of passion in defending our country.
Exactly
yeah.
right.
I think it's easily channeled. I just think it's just about finding the right way to do it, finding the right words, finding the right imagery.
Yeah.
I think it can be done.
And I also think, back in the old days, so we're going back to the 80s and before, even what we now call professional sports teams were actually community groups.
Yes.
Collingwood Football Club was based in Collingwood.
Yes.
And its players lived in Collingwood.
Exactly.
They were part of the Collingwood community, and the same for Footscray, and the same for Geelong, and on it goes.
Yes.
And the same for other sports codes. And, we made exceptions for things like the Australian cricket team.
Yeah, that's when everybody came together. And
that's right.
State cricket mattered back then.
And that's very much.
The Sheffield Shield.
Yeah.
The geographical. It was like the national team really meant something there, because as you say, like we had these specific geographical locations and there's parochialism, and like we had state cricket sort of bringing that together at a broader level, and then Australian cricket was the broadest. Now it's basically, and this is across so many professional sports, especially soccer.
Yeah.
It's basically like you're in the schoolyard and everybody takes turns. The two captains take turns to pick which players they want on their team. It's meaningless.
Yeah, exactly. It's meaningless. Yeah. I mean, it might be fun, but ultimately it's meaningless.
Yeah. I haven't paid attention to English Premier League for years. Like, I used to kind of enjoy watching it because I wanted to know like how the English players who were in the English soccer team would go in their clubs and all that sort of stuff. But now it's...
Well, I mean, now it's all mercenaries, isn't it?
Yes. Mercenaries.
It's just international players paying for astonishing amounts of money.
Yeah.
And being allowed to do basically whatever they want.
Yeah.
You can't stop them because they're so wealthy, and it's terrible.
Yeah. I loved recently. I think was it the Hungarian fans or the Bulgarian fans? Or Romanian fans, one of those based Eastern countries, they were...
it's Bulgaria.
Yeah, they were abusing the African player.
Yeah.
Because, they actually have a sense of racial identity.
And I was watching a clip on YouTube, and I can't remember who did it, who put it together, but they basically had this father and son from England who had gone to Bulgaria, and they were just like, I'm just shaking with rage. I just don't know it's so terrible. When will these Bulgarians learn? And it was absurd. It was like a stereotype.
Yeah, that's why we have to uncuck our people.
Oh, ain't that true?
Because we're a laughing stock. We really are.
Now, I've got something that I wanted to say to you and to everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We're finally in December, although this will be the second episode that goes up in December. But, we've had shops with their advertising for a month now. And it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Christmas is... You've got to have a start date. It can't just go on and on and on. It can't be a special time of year when it's the whole year.
Yes. Well, we're officially in Advent now, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's okay.
Yeah.
I remember having the little Advent calendar where you count down every year. You open up a new little box and you get a little toy or a lolly. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed those too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Mind you, I actually don't mind the fact that Easter is celebrated basically about 3 days into the new year. Well, at least in supermarkets, because I don't mind Easter eggs being up for 3 or 4 months. Because Easter egg chocolate is just the best chocolate.
It is, but I'm afraid I absolutely disagree with you, and you may suffer an accident going down the stairs. Because
you go first.
It's I'll take you with me, buddy. It's I think every holiday a month is enough.
Yeah.
And my mum, I'd complain to my mum, and she'd say, people need to remember. I said, it's the same day every year. How can you not know?
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
And this is a woman who shops, the whole year
Mm-hmm.
for Christmas presents.
Oh.
That's on sale. I'll get that. So it's not like she needed to know.
Yeah, that's, in my experience, that's the way women think. I'm glad it's one of the things they actually take care of. It's very, very good of them.
Now, what do you have Christmas traditions in your family?
Oh yes, we always have. We used to. I remember when I was a kid, we used to sort of go from my mum's family to my dad's family, or the other way around, on Christmas Day.
Yep.
And then with just the families just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because like they each came from families of 6 kids, and my mum's brothers and sisters all had massive families. So we had the Christmas parties in the couple of weeks leading up to Christmas, and that's great because Christmas lasts for a couple of weeks, and I love it, and you get to see everybody. I've got massive family, especially on my mum's side.
Yeah.
I've got 40 cousins, and they're all having kids now too. So those
40 cousins is a lot of cousins.
Yeah, I've got on my mum's side there are 25. So yeah, I've got 40 cousins all up, and so it's great. Like everybody's having kids, and so it's just massive, and the family's a really big deal. So that's what it is for me.
So this Christmas, where will you actually go?
I'm figuring it out at the moment, but I will probably spend either all of the day or a fair chunk of the day at my mum's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be there with my brother and his 2 kids, and it'll just be gorgeous. It'll be. I love Christmas because you get to open the presents with people that you love, and it's just the best.
Yeah,
and you don't have to do anything, and there's not even any cricket on television. So you open presents, you eat. Although this year I'm going to probably go to church as well, Christmas Eve. And then, you just spend the rest of the day in a food coma. So it's quite beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I also have a big family. I'm
Yeah.
the 6th out of 7. So we'll be going to my sister's house this
Mhm.
year, but we'll have Christmas early. We'll have it on the 22nd.
Yep.
Because my other sister works
Mm.
on Christmas. She's in hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
So we normally actually have Christmas beforehand.
Mm.
And we had, 2 years ago, we had a big mix-up where my mother and I went out shopping for the day, and then we got a call like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon saying, "Hey, are you coming to Christmas?" We're like, "What? Oh, we forgot to tell you."
Oh, okay.
That was a big stum up. But that actually worked out good because then my niece brought over her 2 girls, and they spent the day with us, and that was a very special, special day.
Yeah,
So all the food. We'll have a big Christmas tree. You have to be under 21 to get a present in my family.
That's a really good policy.
Because we got a big family.
Yeah.
And it just bankrupts you.
Yeah. It's
So you have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we do occasionally break it. I usually buy really cheap stuff. Like go and buy all the guys a DVD, and I do a lucky dip.
Oh,
You
yeah.
put your hand in the bag, see what you get. And some of them go, "Oh yeah, this is what I want," and others go, "Oh thanks."
Do you deliberately put in a booby prize? Yeah.
And I've usually bought books for the girls.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
One thing that annoys me, and I've found this now that we have different cultures living in Australia, there are some people in the world who celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Like, I can understand going to a midnight mass, but Christmas is Christmas Day.
But I know some Australian families who do that. Like there's nothing. It's nothing about ethnicity. They're British ethnically.
Do they open their presents once it gets to midnight, and like, do they treat that as
they treat
Christmas?
Christmas is a day for immediate family, and Christmas Eve is the day when you actually get together with the whole family.
But is that just out of
which I've always found bizarre?
Is that just because it's easier?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. They see they've done it for so long that they say, oh, that's how you do it.
Okay, because like there are cultures now like where people like, no, this is like Christmas is Christmas Eve. Like, yeah. And I'm like, no, Christmas is Christmas Day, people. You don't open your presents until Christmas morning. You wake up early and open your Christmas presents.
Sorry.
It was a beautiful moment, like last Christmas, because I was at my mum's and my two nieces, they woke up. I was sleeping on the couch, and so the Christmas tree was like in the rumpus room, like a little while away, and so they woke up because they wanted to open up their presents. And so, like, they go and open their presents, and they're like, "Oh, Uncle David's here," and then they go open their presents, and they're just speaking to each other really beautifully. And so I'm just pretending to be asleep because it was gorgeous. And then Mum comes in and says, "Uncle David's still asleep. He came back to bed." It's just one of those beautiful moments that I'll always cherish. It was absolutely gorgeous. Just hearing how sweetly they speak to each other, it was lovely. It was absolutely lovely.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I actually had a happy and sad moment this weekend. I talked about my mother earlier. She died early last year. And my niece, who's actually 40, she's got two girls, and they were talking about their grandma. And they were a bit, well, why doesn't she come to Christmas? Oh, because she died. And they're like, oh, all right, well, what can we do for her? And then they started talking amongst themselves, the two girls. So they're only 3 and 4.
Yeah, right.
And they decided, oh, we should take a Christmas tree to her.
Yeah, right.
So on Saturday, they actually took a Christmas tree to the cemetery, and they sent me a text message saying, go to the cemetery and check it out. So I was busy on Saturday, and I got there like half an hour before the cemetery closed, and I go to the grave, and there's a Christmas tree.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Good.
And there's all these little balls on the tree, and everyone's written messages from that side of the family, And so there are all these balls on the tree, and I was just amazed. It was fantastic to see. But my sister, who'd also gone, she put petals all over the grave.
Yeah, right.
So it was just all colourful.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Again,
exactly.
I love that reverence of the people who came before us. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. So as I said, I thought it was very beautiful as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I also remember Christmases when I was a kid. 'Cause, again, big family. So I remember my grandmothers and my great grandmothers from when I was a kid. And the older I get, the more I just appreciate just how special that was.
That's true, because when you're a kid, it's just not everyday life. You're just like, oh yeah, they're just there.
You're just there, and then they're gone.
That's right.
Yeah, and so the place where one of my great grandmothers used to live after she died got knocked down, and they built units there. But I'll still visit that street occasionally. Like I'll just drive up it, and every time there's a little bit of me which is like kind of wishing that it never, like, oh, maybe they didn't build the new units. It's just again, it's just a little tradition. It just paying respects, because those early times they're foundational.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's true. You don't appreciate what you've got until it's gone. And a lot of those older people, like I think of my great-grandfather, and he was in his 90s when he died. And I was only 10, 11 when that happened. But I still remember him and, him doing, everyday things and he actually spent his last Christmas with us. He came to our house, which has now become very special to me.
That is special because as a great-grandfather, you've got a lot of family to choose from.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
So we were actually going to talk about men. I just briefly want to talk about, we've only probably got about 8 minutes or so to go, but tonight there is a meeting of the Melbourne Traditionalists, and we are an all-male group. We have had women come along, but usually they've been someone's partner.
I was going to say, you don't burn them, do you?
No, don't burn them, no. But, it's important to have male spaces.
Yes.
Places where just men meet, where just men interact, and where men can actually behave as men instead of being in the orbit of women. Yes.
Well, blokes change immediately. There's a woman in the room. It's just a fact of nature.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It was extremely disappointing when I heard that the men's sheds were opened up to women.
And it's
because the whole point of that was that men needed their own space to go and do things.
That's right.
And then it's not like they were meeting in exclusive clubs in the city where like women can't be members, but they were being served by pretty young girls at the bar. It's like, no, these guys were like just going to sheds just because they needed a space to get away from the Sheilas,
Yeah, and it's important that men have that place where they can get away from women, and it's so hard nowadays. In the 60s and before, you could actually, women in Australia couldn't enter the bars.
You're right.
So they were all male spaces. There were places in the hotel where women could go, but there was one bar in every hotel where only men could go, unless you were the bar girl.
Yeah, exactly.
That she was the only female allowed in that space.
Yes.
And now we've had these men's sheds that have been set up so men can go and work with their hands and talk with other men and work on projects and so forth. And of course that's not good enough. Women have to be involved in there. They have to push their way in because apparently they're incapable of organising their own groups. They didn't used to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So why has this become this problem that women must be involved in everything?
Yes, except of course when they want to have a girls' night in, and like they have the ads of the women kicking the men out of the house for the evening. And we know that there are female exclusive clubs. There are female exclusive gyms. So they're allowed to have female only spaces, apart from the toilets, of course, but that's a whole nother matter.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, it's a massive double standard, but it's great that men are realizing the need for this. It's something I notice about with the red pill process. Like initially, like there's a lot of excitement as you sort of have all these old lies sort of being just torn down one by one, and it's important to keep your mouth shut, otherwise you sound like a cult member. And then you sort of settle down and you understand, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, well, I need to meet with other blokes and talk about this and figure out what we're going to do. And it's got to be a bloke thing too, because
that's right.
Part of the red pill process is understanding we've been deracinated, we've been emasculated, and we need to reclaim all of that, and we need to meet up with other...
And men have allowed it to happen.
Yes. Yeah, and so we've got to reform and not make those same mistakes, so not no girls allowed.
Well, I disagree. There are places where men and women have their rightful place.
Yes.
But if you have a rightful place, it also means you have a wrongful place.
Yeah.
A place where you shouldn't be.
Mm.
You know, I describe it as I live in a house, but I don't live in your house.
Yes.
You know, my house is the right place for me. Your house is the wrong place for me.
Yes.
You know, and it's pretty easy to understand.
Mm.
But women have their place, men have their place,
Yes.
and there are places where men and women have their place.
Mm.
But we need those places that are just exclusively for men.
Mm. Mm.
And in fact, I went to the most exclusive men-only club in Melbourne.
Ah, the Melbourne Club?
The Melbourne Club.
Yeah,
It's the only time I've ever been there, and it might be the only time I ever go.
Right.
But I got an invitation to go to a luncheon there,
Yeah, beautiful.
and I went, yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
And it is beautiful in there.
Yes, I've been there myself. The wine was beautiful. The food was, it was all right, but it was nice to just be in the setting. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. And all around it is modern Melbourne. And here's this old traditional building, 150 years old.
Yes.
The club is nearly 190 years old. 180, just over 180 years old.
Okay.
It was founded in 1838.
Yeah, right. They must have met in a tent.
And
the first one.
Yeah, I think the first one they did. Yeah. And as I said, it's a once in a lifetime thing, possibly. You don't get to go that often.
On that note, last night I actually watched a movie on the waterfront. It'd be a good one for us to review in full at some stage. But there are a couple of key moments in there.
This is with Marlon Brando?
With Marlon Brando, yeah.
Yes.
It's the one that I know that Hollywood people didn't like it because it's kind of making an analogy about the Hollywood mafia. So on the waterfront, you've got a workforce which was exclusively male.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where the daughter of one of the workers comes down and there's some kerfuffle and the father is angry. He's angry that his daughter had to see such things going on.
Yeah.
And so that was making a really clear distinction that there's a man's world and there's a woman's world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's also a great scene where it's getting towards the climax of the movie and the Marlon Brando and the woman have fallen in love, but the woman is angry with Marlon Brando and he wants to get in and she locks the door and says, "Go away, stay away from me." So Marlon Brando breaks the door down. But then they end up kissing and it's fine. That's the kind of masculinity we're just not allowed to have anymore. That kind of dynamic. That would not be allowed these days. I think of a friend who he was quite crazy and he had a crazy girlfriend and for some reason she just decided that she was breaking up with him and he wanted to know what was going on, and so he tried to get in the door and she hit him with a hammer on the head.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she never suffered any consequence for that.
Yeah.
I don't think he even ever thought of reporting it to the police. I think it was more likely that he would have been reported to the police.
Yeah. Well, I was watching something yesterday on YouTube. They have comments on Reddit.
Oh, yes.
And, they'll say, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen or things like that.
Mm.
And this one was, guys, what do women do at work that you wish they wouldn't do?
Talk about their vaginas. Dead set serious. There was one time I was working in hospitality and there were a whole bunch of girls working there and I walked out and then I came back just because I'd forgotten something and they were literally talking about their vaginas. Not even kidding.
Yeah.
I interrupted. What were you saying?
Well, no, it's an interesting one. Men have the reputation of talking, but it's women who actually do that talking.
Oh, yeah.
I've never had a discussion about my penis with another man.
No.
But women will talk about the most intimate things.
Yeah. Dead set.
Wrong, right, what they're doing with them.
Yep.
And, very bizarre. But actually the thing that most guys were upset about was touching. Women coming up and giving them neck rubs or, things like that. And, the women's attitude was, oh, it's all right because I'm a woman. And the guy's attitude is, hey, I'm not allowed to do it to you. Why are you allowed to do it to me?
Yeah.
You know?
It's
But
actually a
there
bit
was-
of a power thing, isn't it? Yeah. Especially if they're not attractive.
Possibly.
And
I think it's
if
just,
they are too, actually. Yeah.
I think it's more a feminine thing.
Okay.
Women are much more touchy than men are.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just natural for a woman to, I like you. You know, there's no other feeling behind it. You know, and you know, so I can touch you. You know, but of course, in a professional setting, it's not acceptable. It's not all right. But what I also found was that a lot of the younger people were really upset by being called love or darling.
Oh, the girls are?
No, the guys.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah, they do.
And they were saying, oh, these older women, they say these things to me, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, we've really... Yeah, we're really in a different age now, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, because when I was growing up, everyone was love or darling.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's.
And it was true for both men and women.
Yeah.
You know, and then it started. Oh, you know, you're not allowed to say that to women because you know they're not your darlings or your, you know, they're professional people and blah blah blah.
Well, it's just the blokes. Guys are shocked when there's no reciprocity there. They just want to be treated the same way. We get told that sexism is basically just treating everybody equally, and then we find out it's not.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. We find out it's a total con.
Yes.
Yes. Because sexism really means that you've noticed that there are differences between the sexes.
Yeah.
Just like racism is noticing there's differences between races.
Exactly.
And so on and so forth. You know.
But
I was you're just listening to this, and I was like, wow, these guys are really upset by, you know, just something that I would consider very innocent.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's that's a red pilling for them. When they find out, oh wait, we're told that we're not allowed to do this, but you're allowed to.
Yeah.
You know, are you going to just sit there and take it, or are you going to stand up? So that to me that sounds like the start of a red pilling, or it could be.
I'm not so sure. I think it's an acceptance of the blue pill that, you know, everyone's equal.
Yeah. Okay.
So these women have to be forced to be equal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
David, where can people find out more about your thinking?
Come to the xyz.net.au. Follow us on Gab and Telegram. They're the social media that we're flogging at the moment, so come on over.
And I'm Mark Moncrief, and you can find out more of my thinking at Upon Hope. Just type that into your favourite search engine, and you'll be able to follow my writings. Thank you, David, and thank you, everyone.